All right, let's go over to the SEC where Trotter and I are aligned. The team to beat here. Even Trotter can't deny that Auburn is the number one team in the country and the favorite in this SEC. He didn't go with any number ones in any leagues except for Auburn. And credit where credit is due. Trotter was all over Auburn from the very beginning. I mean, if you go back to our preseason shows, he was calling this the team to beat in the SEC. I was picking Alabama. But Trotter, tell me why you have been such a big proponent of this Bruce Pearl team for so long and how you've been so vindicated.
Yeah, I do feel vindicated, even though I definitely got some things wrong with them. Like, I did not expect this type of season from Tahad Pettiford, but I do think the underrated part of that is the year two transfer breakouts have really come into form. Denver Jones is playing like the best version of himself as a shot maker and defensively. Chad Baker-Mazara, when he's not doing anything, on the court just to pick up technicals or get ejected, like, he is a terrific player, one of the best players in this league. And then you add in Janai Broom, and then you add in Chaney Johnson. Like, the player development and the recruiting has just meshed very, very perfectly. And then I like the draw, too, in this one, too, especially off that loss to Alabama. I know it didn't necessarily have, any real ramifications, but Auburn played like they were trying to win that game. And losing on your home floor to your rival is a tough look. I think they're going to head into this tournament with a little bit of vinegar in their mouth and ready to rock and roll and try to show, from a legacy perspective, if you can win the SEC regular season title and win the SEC tournament title and earn a number one seed, like, you're talking about Auburn as an all-time team in college basketball history. I think Auburn will be ready to go. And they just have so many answers to the test offensively. It's like, you got to guard Janai Broom, you got to guard Todd Pettiford, pick and rolls, you got to guard the three-point shooting of Baker-Mazara and Denver Jones. Chaney Johnson's like a four-man that very few other teams have. Like, he's big, strong, and physical. Like, that's a tough team and a tough matchup, and I think they get it rolling.
All right, so here's some basic info on Auburn if you're one of those people who I can't relate to who just start to watch college basketball at this time of year. First of all, they have the best offense in the country. Janai Broom is leading them in 4 of 5 major statistical categories, including assists. So the big fella is getting it done, and that's the reason why he is the primary competition for Cooper Flagg's National Player of the Year honors. In addition to being the best offense in the country, they have 6 different players averaging in double figures. So this is not just a one-man show. It is anything but. They play hard, they play physical, but they are 4th overall in the country in turnover percentage, meaning they take great care of the basketball. All of their shooting numbers from every level are extremely efficient. And on top of that, this is a veteran-laden team, with the exception of Tahad Pettiford, who's provided a huge spark as a freshman. These guys are old. And they are experienced, and they act like it. They are physically farther along than a lot of the teams they're going to play in the NCAA tournament, and they play with a sense of experience that is hard to duplicate. Trotter, that having been said, in the SEC, who is your – I mean, I know this is hard to say for a tournament that I still have the over and under for 12.5 teams in the NCAA tournament, but, I mean, who would be your sleeper?
Yeah, I joked with somebody that, like, the road to win the SEC tournament is harder than the road to win the NCAA tournament, because it's like you have a 1 seed in Florida, a 1 seed in Auburn, a 1 seed potential team, Alabama, or a 2 seed in Tennessee. It's like, this is hard. But if we're going to go for sleepers, can I offer Mississippi State up a little bit? Now, this is a group that I've been high on at times throughout the year. I think that they've been extremely unlucky since February 1st. They're shooting like 29% from 3. Their opponents are at 39%. Like, that's a 10-point gap that's very, very unsustainable. If they could have that start to flip in their favor a little bit, I think you're looking at a group that they take great shots. I think Chris Jans has done an underrated job of revamping their offensive process, and they're really talented. Like, Josh Hubbard is a complete stud, and everybody kind of knows him. But I think Keyshawn Murphy is a sneaky NBA guy. You watch him play, like, the behind-the-back passes as a big man, his feel and pick and roll is terrific. Like, that's a group that can really go. They got big wings. If Riley Kugel, RJ Melendez, Claudel Harris, they get 2 of those guys going at one time, in addition to Murphy and in addition to Hubbard, like, they're a really tough team. And they've played with basically everybody in the SEC. So, again, it's hard to win this league, and especially hard to win this tournament. But I could see Mississippi State getting on a little bit of a heater here.
All right, we've talked a lot about Auburn. People are talking about Alabama coming off of the win over Auburn last weekend. I want to talk a little bit about Florida, and in particular, I want to talk about Walter Clayton and that backcourt, because when it comes to players to watch, I've got my eyes on Walter Clayton. True senior, played 2 years for Rick Pitino at Iona. The expectation in the industry was that he was going to follow Pitino to St. John's. Instead, he opted to go back closer to home and play for Florida. He was terrific last year for Todd Golden. as more of a shot-making off guard. This year, he's transitioned to a much more significant on-ball presence. He's continuing to shoot the ball with extreme volume, taking over almost eight threes per game, and still knocking him down at about a 37% clip, even though every defender he plays is being coached to run him off the line. The biggest jump in his game, though, has been the decision-making and facilitating. Last year, he was barely over a 1-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. This year, he's much closer to 2-to-1. He's doing it with over 4 assists per game. So we're seeing him operate out of pick and roll. And he's a versatile on-off ball scoring threat. You combine that with what they've gotten from Elijah Martin, the FAU transfer, who's really gotten it done on the defensive end of the floor. And I think this is one of the best backcourts in college basketball. Of course, you add Will Richard to that as well. So that is the player to watch in the SEC. We hope you have enjoyed this version of the 24/7 Sports College Basketball Show as we broke down every major power conference tournament. I will tell you that next week is going to be a busy week. We are going to be with you on Monday morning for a huge bracket breakdown. If you're not calling out of work, make sure you close the door and turn on YouTube. We will break down your entire bracket and help you figure that out. We will be back on CBS Sports Network next week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So gear up. It is the happiest time of year. For Isaac Trotter, I'm Adam Finkelstein. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We will see you a lot next week.